that's great. And I love the system that you have, and it seems very organized. And I like the way that you structured that. I mean, when I tell and I'd love to hear what you say, kind of just maybe give us a little, a sneak peek of what you would tell like a client. When I talk to people about live video and they say, well, Professor Nez, why should I even get involved in live video? I mean, I run Facebook ads, I run YouTube ads, I run Instagram ads, I run print radio. What do I need live video for? The main thing that I really tell them, Justin, is I say that it puts a face to your brand. It puts a face, it puts a human being behind your organization. And you're able to actually have real-time interaction with your customers. And I mean, imagine, if you had a problem with something in your company, or maybe, I mentioned this even in my course. I'll just say it right now. I mentioned this in my course. Imagine if, the CEO of Coca-Cola, right, went live on Facebook, and, he just recently made a huge cut, in his employee staff. Let's say he cut 10,000 jobs, right? Let's say he went live and said, we did a major thing here. I know there's a lot of questions. I know there are lots of concerns. I wanted to go live. I'm happy. I'm the CEO of Coca-Cola. My name is XYZ. I'm happy to communicate with you and answer any questions you have right here on Facebook. To me, I would be a lifelong Coca-Cola drinker. I would quit Pepsi right on the spot. And I think what you're talking about too, Justin, is bringing that sort of awareness. And Justin's content is about as professional as it can be. Hey, Holly, good to see you. Holly was on the show last week after Roberto with her unbelievable cause, Heartfelt. Good to see you, Holly. Thank you for joining. And I think what you're talking about, Justin, is you're talking about that sort of awareness. And guys, I'm telling you, you watch Justin's channel, you watch his videos, it's literally about as professional and clear-cut and substantive. And he provides so much in such a small amount of time that you really, it's like you feel like you're getting like, you feel guilty. I mean, sometimes I feel guilty, like we should be paying this guy. Like this guy's like giving us amazing, value. And I think that that's so interesting. And I know, Justin, that you love doing it. Like I can tell when you're doing it, like love it.
Our approach with that is to not hold back. So we have a lot of people that, especially with live video or creating videos on YouTube, they're like, yeah, but what stuff, where do I draw the line? Where should I hold back? And I'm a big fan or a big advocate, Mike is as well, of giving away your best stuff, giving away your best tips, help people. So whether they become a customer now or they refer someone or the flow on, you may not get a return on that ever, or it may be a long time down the track, but why hold it back? Why put it behind a paywall? Because there's other things that you could charge for. People will then, you could do one-on-one consulting or a group coaching or something like that. But at least you've given value to as many people as you can. And then the ones that want to work with you will work with you. That's our approach.
I mean, Justin, I started taking my YouTube channel. I'm just in love with it too. Like I'm in love being an educator at heart and a storyteller at heart. It just complements my personality. I've been taking my YouTube game very seriously only about 4 or 5 months ago. And I've been growing steadily. Like a couple of my videos have gotten like over 400 views, which for me is like, I didn't have anything before that. So it was like such a beautiful feeling. Like, oh my God, like people are like actually like watching and they're like replaying it and they're sharing it. And I could look at my analytics. I mean, it's just, I think I'd love your thoughts on this. And then I want to get to your question, Andres. It's a good question. Do you think that people, because I know that you have a lot of clients and this is your business as well. So there's a level of professionalism and seriousness that you have to bring to what you're doing. Do you think that it's absolutely imperative that you have some type of desire, some type of deep-seated love for video creation to get in this game? Or do you just feel like, well, think about it, everything's going toward mobile optimization. If you go to Starbucks, if you go to a gas station, if you go to the library, or you stand in line anywhere, what are people doing? They're looking at their phones. So us as business people, especially digital entrepreneurs, which is what Justin is, I love it too. Is it a matter of, well, you need to do this, or does it even matter? Like, do you need to love it? Or should you just be like really just methodical about it? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it comes down to, as you said, your overall goal or your passion or what's driving you. If you don't have a passion for video, but you're using video as a tool to connect people with your passion or your overall goal, then that's the perfect solution. So you don't have to be, use the video guy or, so passionate about creating the videos, but use it as a tool to get where you want to go or to help people. I would say focus it, and that's probably going to be most people. Most people aren't going to enjoy the process, at least at first. There's the fear of being on camera and the tech and all these stories we tell ourselves as to not create videos, but we know the benefits. So once we get past those and we can actually start to see some results on our videos, start to see the impact they're having. And for us, like, YouTube is a long game. Like, it has taken, it's taken a couple of years to get to where we are. And people forget that our first 50 subscribers, like, seem to take forever. And it's like, why are we giving away this awesome information? And we've got 50 people watching them. Then 100 felt so long, but so many people give up just before it happens. So I mean, that's, if it's in line with what you want to do, and if you're using it as a tool for your big picture goals, or to access your passions and to help you progress with that, then that's where it's perfect. And if you take that approach to it, then you're going to be successful with it.
Oh, that's great info. Yeah. Thank you, Justin. I love what you're saying there. I think that's so valuable. Guys, isn't Justin awesome? Give me some emojis, give me some hearts, give me some likes. I mean, Justin, listen to what he's saying right there, Nez Nation. So important. Like, I can't tell you, Justin, when I first started on YouTube, I was very chagrined. I was very dejected. Gosh, I'm only getting like 10, 12, 13 views. Thank you so much. Okay. They actually listened. They're giving me a bunch of hearts. But like, thank you guys. You guys are so sweet. But I was okay, well, I guess YouTube isn't working. And then it was like, it wasn't until I really started to talk to people like Gord, who's in here, who's a great consultant as well as far as video goes. You two really should connect. I think Gord Eisman, I think he shared your the title card to his page. He has a great channel where he does a lot of video stuff and video creation.
He's awesome. We haven't actually spoken yet, but we've had a few messages back and forth.
Yeah, I think that would be a great connection, you two. And so it wasn't until people that I actually looked up to, and people that I trusted, and people who were willing to help me, that things started to really, it was my strategy and I was going about it all wrong. Things started growing. So listen to what Justin's saying, you guys. He's saying, don't give up. Patience is your ultimate currency, right? These things take time. So many people want it now. Professor Nez, I'm not getting as much engagement. I'm not getting as many views. I'm not getting as many subscribers. Nobody's looking at my LinkedIn posts. Nobody's looking at my Instagram stories. It takes time. You got to build. You got to build. And I think when Justin says long game, I almost want to say add another long. It's a long game. It's amazing. And Justin seems to me like somebody who understands that so well. Okay, Andreas, I've been holding off on this, Justin. Andreas, thank you for your question. He says, hello, Justin and Prof. When editing video, what is the best way to keep it as real as possible? I ask because I've seen a lot of editing where color correction and filters are applied. How do you recommend go about editing on FC? Final Cut. I'm assuming that's Final Cut.
Yep.
That's a pretty heavy question.
It's a big question.
Yeah.
Where to start with that? I would say your editing actually starts in your filming. So if you can start to plan out your filming, then your editing is going to be quicker and faster. But in regards to over editing and adding things like color correction and effects, at what point do you draw the line and get the content out and move to the next video? That's, as a video guy, that was one of the biggest things that I struggled with. I wanted to over edit. I only wanted to release things that were really polished, really looking good, had no mistakes in them. And all you do there is get caught up in the edit. You need to be able to, it's like 80-20, right? No one's going to know if you've spent an extra 2 hours color correcting your videos. Get it to where it looks good. Maybe play it back on your phone or something and test it where people are going to have a look at it. If we're talking color correction, and get it out and move on to the next one, because the next one's going to be faster and easier. And that snowball, that wheel starts moving. So don't over edit, focus on the content, focus on your filming. So really the editing for us is actually done when we're filming.
Interesting.
I will make sure when I'm filming that I'm not moving on to the next sentence, paragraph, dot point until I have nailed the last one is the best one. Always the last take is the best one. And that way, when you're editing, you can edit backwards. So instead of editing left to right, you edit right to left.
Oh, cool.
And that way, when you're going through, you're always going to hit the best take first, which was your last one. And so you're going from last, best take to best take to best take. It's much, much faster, and it streamlines the whole process. So with editing, your focus is to cut all your content down to something small and manageable as quick as you can, so that you're just looking at the content. You don't want to get caught up in the color correction and everything and the effects and the titles and all the stuff that makes it look good until you know that your content is there and you're happy with the content. If you've missed something and you've spent all this time color correcting and then you're like, oh, I can't run this out, I didn't answer that really big question, obvious question, then you've wasted a heap of time. So cut down your content first, film so that your last take is the best one, edit backwards, and you'll be able to look at your content in a short, manageable piece, which will then speed up the rest of the process. And you're color correcting a shorter amount of footage and applying effects or titles to a shorter amount. So that's my approach, and that's what I would suggest.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow. Guys, are you checking this out? I love that. Edit backwards, get those best takes in there, edit from left to right. Wow. I mean, or right to left. I'm sorry, right to left. Was that right, Justin?
Backwards. Yep.
Yeah.
You can also leave yourself notes, right? Or if you've got an editor that's helping you, if you've got a best take, then put your hand up to the camera lens or something so that you can, when you're scrubbing through all your footage in your timeline in your editing software, you can see like your hand or whatever, but do something, wave, to grab your own attention, because it could be a while after you've filmed before you're editing, especially if you're batch creating. And it could be, don't use the last one, use 1-2 back, because you'll know at the time of filming, but you'll forget at your editing. So you can actually talk to yourself or talk to your editor or whoever's going to be editing your footage and leave notes based on what you were thinking at the time of filming.
I wanted to ask you, because when I first started out, and I'm still actually using iMovie as an editing software, even though I'm trying to get into Adobe Premiere. I just got the Adobe Cloud, and I'm really like experimenting with Photoshop. I was doing a lot of my thumbnails on Canva. I just liked it. I thought it was easy. It was simple. It was just the UX was there. You know what I mean? Like the UI and UX was Photoshop, it almost feels like you have to take a course on Photoshop. I mean, there's so much involved, but I know the quality.
Take multiple courses on Photoshop and still have heaps of stuff in there.
Still have heaps of stuff in there. Yeah, exactly. So like, I just tried, productivity guys, NEZNATION. Here's a guy, Justin, who's not only, he's just doing amazing things in video, but he's actually producing, pretty consistently, and the velocity of his production is just awesome. And productivity, these videos, Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, these videos take hours, days, weeks the editing, to me, it's all in the editing. And being a writing professor, I tell the same thing to my students, Justin. I say, hey, when you're first writing your stuff out, your first draft is always garbage. Don't worry about that. Editing is the subtle art. Editing is where you take that magic scalpel and you cut out what needs to be cut out. And I think the same way, I actually love editing, Justin. I know a lot of people who don't, especially, a lot of influencers who don't like editing.
Most people don't.
Yeah, most people don't. They outsource it, or they'll just, kind of do it sort of in a way that it just is manageable or easy. To me, I actually love the sort of timing and the cutting and the splicing and the music and the titles and the text. I love all that stuff. And so I take probably longer than most people. But I wanted to ask you about editing software. Do you think it's worth it for me to, now that I have the Adobe Cloud, do you think it's like, I want to talk a little bit about editing software, because I use iMovie and I've mastered iMovie, and it's good for what I'm doing, because I'm not really doing huge, major production quality stuff. Or do you think you should say, hey, Peter, get into Adobe Premiere. If you have it, learn it. It's a much better product. What are your thoughts on, I know Gord uses Camtasia. A lot of his channel has a lot to do with Camtasia. What are your thoughts on the mentality and mindset when it comes to editing software?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff around at the moment with top YouTubers that all are using either Premiere or Final Cut. And there seems to be a big sway to everyone's like, especially young people coming on and wanting to create daily vlogs, that they need to learn and use Premiere. I'm a massive Premiere user. I've been using it for years, yet now I'm using Final Cut because it's faster. That the fact that there is no render time for me and I can just hit save and it starts uploading the video is a massive thing if you're creating content.
That's huge.
So to me, it's about looking at the most efficient way to edit. And there's so many different tools. There's so many different editing tools to use, and that's all they are. Use whichever one is going to be the fastest for you. If you've mastered iMovie and it's going to be the fastest thing for you to edit in, no one else is going to know. They're not going to watch your video and go, that was edited in iMovie. No one will know. So it's only you that knows that.
That's true.
And so it's always a case of, and it's the same with your thumbnails. If Canva is still the best one for you, use Canva. I mean, we were using Keynote. Like, it doesn't matter. Awesome. It's all just about getting the content out in the best way for you. Right. If you've hit your limits on iMovie and you're finding that it's slow, or you can't get the titles or the timing or everything where you want it, or you're bringing in multi cameras and 4K videos and those sorts of things, and it's too much and it's not working for you, then look for an alternative. So the biggest thing that I would say between iMovie and Adobe Premiere in your case is the color correction. Color correction and all those sort of features like image stabilization. If you've got shaky footage, you can fix all of that stuff really easy in Premiere. And those are the things that iMovie is missing. But iMovie, for editing your footage down and adding titles and doing really basic color corrections and things, is going to be more than enough for most people. So it's just, you can create a heap of overwhelm, which could be procrastination or an excuse to not create content. Or you could create the content, and when you've got the time or the need to move, then move. That's the main reason we don't use Photoshop for our thumbnails. That's great. The amount of time it would take versus something as quick as Keynote for Mike to do is insane. So, you know what, Justin? So I actually thought, here's how narcissistic I was, Justin. I actually thought, oh, okay, cool. I've got Photoshop. I'm a pretty smart dude. I'll figure this out in one day. I uploaded, I uploaded the software, I installed it, and I click on Photoshop, and literally, like an idiot, literally for 12 hours, I just drove myself crazy. It was one of those things where I was like, I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this. I'm not going to let Photoshop beat me. Hey, Justin, guess what? It kicked my ass. So I totally agree with you. And I was actually, Gord, I want to get to your question about, Instagram. Thank you, Gord. And everybody, thank you so much for joining us. And if you're just joining us right now, please share this out, because we've got Justin Brown from Primal Video, and we're already at the 40-minute mark, Justin, and I feel like I've been talking to you for 10 minutes. I'm just loving this. Awesome. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I'm just absolutely loving this, and major, major value. I was on Tim Schmoyer's live stream recently, or no, not recently, actually, this was a couple months ago. And I actually asked the question, I go, how does Final Cut compare to iMovie? And he goes, and he's very jokingly, he's a sweet guy. Tim Schmoyer, if you don't know, from Video Creators. Yeah. And he was like, Professor Nez, not even close. It doesn't even come close. Yeah. But then he said the same thing. He echoed what Justin said. He said, but I always recommend, he followed that up with, I always recommend using whatever works for you and whatever helps your productivity. But I loved his initial reaction. And it was such a silly question. I didn't even expect him to answer it. He's got 1 million people in his streams, and he was like, not even close, Professor Nez. They are definitely different offerings, but it is really like iMovie Pro on some levels. If you're used to the interface in iMovie and you're happy with how that works, then the logical step for me, for you, for me to tell you, would be to go to Final Cut, because it's not going to be as big a learning curve. Interesting. So it's exactly the same layout, and it's a one-off fee versus a monthly subscription. So there's different things, and some will suit some people and some will suit others. I think when they drop to the monthly fee, as the Adobe Suite and Premiere and Photoshop, they've opened it up now to a lot of younger people and smaller YouTube channels and those sorts of things coming on board and using Premiere, because it's not like a one lump sum of $1,400. You kind of get to pay it off over time, or leasing the software. Right. So I think that's kind of why there's now a lot of people now using it that weren't before. Versus $300 or $400 for Final Cut. So. Yeah, I just gave up. Photoshop completely took me to the woodshed. I thought, the UI and the UX for Photoshop, it was like walking on Mars for me, Justin. I was like, oh my God, what the layers, screen mask and the metallic lasso and I couldn't, it was just so not intuitive for me
that
Yep.
I frustrated myself. I literally spent an entire day. I was so stupid, Justin. I spent an entire day, and Photoshop just kind of looked at me and goes, "You know, you're an idiot, right?"
I hate it
Okay,
when a
let me
computer
get to
program does
let me get to Gord's question here, and then Gord. Oh, Gord has another. I use Camtasia and Adobe Premiere Pro, but I need to keep finding efficiencies in everything so that I can scale to produce more videos. I find the tutorial style videos I create to be a big effort. Yeah, and Justin, I mean, Justin does a lot of screen sharing, and what I love about Justin's videos is he really goes in depth and very specific. Like he'll do such beautiful, like I love those grid lines that you do, like for your Samsung video. I love those grid lines and how you talked about the interface for the opening up, unlocking the phone. I think it was you. I don't have a Samsung, but I think you said you had to put your fingerprint on the actual lens. Is that correct?
The fingerprint scanner at the back of the phone. Like you see
Yeah.
it here.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I remember
It's
you
like
saying,
right next to the camera. So every time you want to unlock the phone, you end up smudging the camera. So that
smudging the
was
camera, and I thought that was so weird too. You'd think that
yeah,
they wouldn't do that.
yeah.
So Andrea says, yeah, the same with Adobe Illustrator. Oh, you tried to do that, Andreas, with Adobe Illustrator? Yeah, I mean, it's like Adobe Animator, Adobe Illustrator, Adobe. I mean, now there's what's that one called, Justin? Lightning Room or Lightroom? What's it called?
Lightroom, yeah, which
Lightroom.
is
Yeah,
for editing your photos.
yeah. Do you use a lot of those, Justin? Like, do you use all the Adobe kind of products?
I do. I've had a subscription for a long time.
Uh-huh.
These days now, looking at the efficiencies, I'm really using other programs.
Oh,
So
cool, cool.
where I use Adobe Premiere, so I use 3 pieces of editing software probably every week. They are
Wow.
Adobe Premiere, they are Final Cut, and ScreenFlow on Mac. So ScreenFlow is used for any screen capture
Mm-hmm.
or any really quick minor edits.
Right.
90% of all the work we do is in Final Cut now. I will use Adobe Premiere when I'm working on client projects, when I'm working with editors external. So I
Oh,
can,
cool.
it's easier to share a project file back and forth with Adobe Premiere so that we're both able to see the same thing. They'll make changes, send it back. I'll make changes, send it back. That's
Cool.
easier for me in Adobe Premiere. Whereas all the stuff that we're doing on our YouTube channel is Final Cut.
Very cool. Okay, I want to get to, thank you, Justin. I want to get to, guys, isn't Justin awesome? Give me those hearts. Give me those likes. Gord says, Justin, what is your, okay, so now we're kind of pivoting here, Justin, just really quickly, because I know, Justin, and I don't know if I've ever asked you this, Justin, but I know primarily you do, most of your content goes on YouTube, if I'm correct in that. And I noticed you've been, and I said this to Roberto too, because Roberto understands where the attention is going. And I actually love your Instagram stories. I think they're just like your YouTube videos. I think they're just so to the point and so subtle. And there's no like, I'm obnoxious. Like I know I'm obnoxious and I can just kind of get in your face with my videos and I'm loud. But like, I really admire like what you do, Justin. It's so subtle and there's a nice breathability. There's breath. You can breathe in Justin's content. Whereas me, I'm smothering everybody, I really admire that. And this question is regarding Instagram, Justin.
Okay.
Gord asks, Justin, what is your Instagram strategy? Do you put out teaser promos for your videos that you release on your channel? I know I do. What do you do, Justin?
Instagram for me is a kind of new tool. Our primary focus is YouTube, and that's really where we spend our time. And we'll work hard to optimize our videos, to do our research before and after for keywords and monitor the videos and update, thumbnails and those sorts of things to make sure that that's working. That's our primary focus. Where I see it is there's really 3 different levels of a sale, right? So you've got your audience building. You need an audience. You then need a relationship with that audience before you can have the sale. Mm-hmm. So the different tools and different ways to attract people on each 3 of those levels. So for us, the audience growth is YouTube. That's where we're organic. We can be found in Google search and YouTube search, and that's audience growth. Then the relationship is where we'll bring in, which is where we're starting to do now, a weekly live stream. So that's when people can, do Q&A, and I also see Instagram. That's the place for me, for Instagram. If you want to see what I'm up to afterwards or hanging out the beach with the family or whatever, that's Instagram. I don't, it's kind of, I don't do daily vlogs. I don't actually post a heap to Instagram, but that would be my daily vlog style would be Instagram instead of YouTube, just to keep them separate. And that's for relationship building and connecting on a personal level.
Yeah.
So different strategies for different things. We do, we've done a couple of times, a couple of quick posts on Instagram, saying that there's been a new video when it's been beneficial, or, you know, one that is definitely in line with people, like brands. So the Samsung one was an easy one to post on Instagram, because I know that Samsung is really heavily into their Instagram.
Right.
So it was easy to tag them in it and to
Right.
get shared, those sorts of things that way, and to drive traffic back to the YouTube video. So it really depends on what it is. And to me, I'm not an Instagram person. So taking advice from me on Instagram is probably the wrong thing to do. But I definitely see that there's a huge place there for Instagram stories, in regards to driving people to your YouTube channel, to your Facebook lives. I mean, I really like what you're doing with your, like, you talked it down, but I really like what you're doing with your stories. I watch your stories, and it's interesting.
Thank you, man. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
That's how I know that you are live on Facebook. I spend more time on Instagram than I do on Facebook. So
I've been doing the same thing, actually. Interesting. Yeah. I've been spending a lot more time on Instagram and being a LinkedIn consultant. So I'm obviously on LinkedIn a lot too, but you know, it's interesting because Facebook has, and I'd love your thoughts on this, because I know that I love the fact that and is this, correct me if I'm wrong, but is this a new thing that you're kind of doing, this weekly live thing? Weekly live show?
Yes, only like we did the first one. I used to do lives, or we used to do lives quite a while back, and then we stopped our live strategy and we focused on creating the content. And the moment we went from running out one video on our YouTube channel per week to 2 videos per week, our subscriber rate and everything that flows beyond that more than doubled, from doubling the amount of content we were putting out. So then we looked at the watch times and the retention and how well the live videos were going versus the actual content. And they're 2 totally different things. So in terms of growing a YouTube channel for us, the strategy back then was to stop doing the lives and to focus on creating the content, because there's a lot of people out there that go live every day, and they're everywhere. And the thing that I don't agree with that is that you're then too accessible. So then why would someone pay you for consulting or whatever if they can just jump on your Facebook Live, ask you a quick question, and you're going to answer it? But that's just my opinion. There's different strategies around that. Maybe they'll dive deeper on topics, but we didn't want to fall into that.
Yeah, I completely.